marching band. For your halftime entertainment, we celebrate the 43-year reign of the Speed Metal Kings, Metallica. With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
It's the Thursday night before an Auburn football game, specifically Game 6. Auburn versus Georgia, the Deep South's oldest rivalry, is being renewed once again within the confines of Jordan-Hare Stadium. On this show, we're going to preview every aspect of the game, predict it, and of course, resulting in our score predictions at the very end. All that and your opinions as well coming up on the show right now. War Eagle, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, we talk about the Auburn experience, which for us is all about a few things: Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it might be, though, is if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing on this particular live stream, our live opportunity to preview and predict Auburn versus Georgia. So much to get into this evening, as we always do. Want to hear from you, want to interact with you throughout the stream. We're actually going to be having a very interactive show, so go ahead and let us know that you're here, especially if you're watching live. It's mainly for the live portion of that, but you can announce your presence with a War Eagle, hello, however you'd like to do that. Make sure you smash the like button on the way in. It's very helpful for us. We want to know who is going to be participating in helping us preview and predict Auburn versus Georgia. So let me give you a little preview for those of you that are here, and do some housekeeping that we've been handling most streams here as well. What you're about to get on this particular show is we're going to give you a little bit of information. It's actually over here, Kyle. I'm a little out of my element. So you can pause the screen and look at that if you'd like to in a little bit more detail. It should be able to be zoomed in and stuff like that. I may point a few things out to you. Just some information about the game, the matchup, the history, all that kind of stuff. Facts to know about yards per, rush, all that kind of stuff. Auburn versus Georgia. This is the first time that I frankly even begun, especially given what's been going on for me this week, to look at those things. So score predictions that are at the end. If you can, please hold those to the end. I'd love to talk about those in some detail after, but hopefully you will get to a more well-rounded, thought-through score prediction by the end of this show this evening. Now, all that to be said, once again, I want to acknowledge from previous streams out there that we are not in location. We're not even in Auburn. I will likely be there this weekend. It is the plan right now. You're going to hear me speaking about that a lot over the next couple of weeks. Everything is tentative, but we're working hard to make sure that we can get back on schedule with some content stuff. We've got some just personal things going on here that are requiring some very flexible schedules. Everything is fine. Everything is good. We do always consider prayer a very powerful tool. We ask you that you be praying for God's provision for me and my family during this time. Again, all things are fine and all things are good, but continue to pray for that. That is very much appreciated. Now, let's do this. Let's talk about these things. Let's get into that. I see a couple of kind words from everybody. I appreciate that very much. So, like I said, that's the layout. What we're going to do is just look through these pages really quickly, and then we're going to get to the fun stuff. We are going to get to actually predicting what is going to happen on offense, defense, special teams. Let's do that. Let's start right here with Auburn and Georgia, some information that you need to know. I think what we've been talking about all offseason, the biggest thing for this matchup is the fact that it is going to be at night within the confines of Jordan-Hare Stadium. Not happened since 2013, 12, something like that. It's been, like I said, it's been over a decade, and it is high time that this happens. This is the 130th meeting of the Deep South's oldest rivalry, dating back to 1892. You can see that listed on your sheet there if you'd like to have that. Obviously, Hugh Freeze versus Kirby Smart, non-ranked Auburn. Georgia is currently ranked 10 or 9, depending on that. 3-2 Auburn, 0-2 in the SEC. 4-1 Georgia, 2-1 in the SEC. A lot of people want to think about this as a season-defining moment. I disagree with that a little bit. However, if you do get the win here, it certainly does change the storm clouds, as we talked about last night, that seem to be compiling off the shore from the Auburn perspective. Georgia, if you were to lose this one, you've probably start to kind of wonder what's going to happen the rest of the season. Like, what type of team do you actually have? Not because it's a bad loss. It's at Jordan-Hare. Anybody losing at Jordan-Hare is a formidable loss. But it's just one of those things, probably the different perspectives of the two different teams. You look at the schedule. Obviously, if you're an Auburn fan, you know this. For those that aren't Auburn fans, how they've shaped out the season. One at Baylor, one versus Ball State and South Alabama at home, but lost on the road by a touchdown or less to Oklahoma and Texas A&M. Probably should have been wins had we, been able to have a little bit of an offense here and there. Okay, so we'll keep moving right along. Please pause the screen for yourself if you need to do so. But if you do pause it during the live portion, you will need to catch back up. There's the depth chart as it is still listed, so you can look in there and see if there's anything new. Anything like that. Xavier Chaplin is still listed as the starting left tackle, although I'll continue to point out to people that not a lot changes on that. And there's not even an or situation listed there after his performance in the last game. A lot of people call for that. At this point, Xavier Chaplin is still the starting left tackle. But the reports were that Xavier Miller was going to get a little bit of extra time. And I think just given his tenure here, deservedly so, he's very much accepted a role of that sixth man off the offensive line, ready to be plugged and played anywhere he can. And maybe after the last couple of weeks, it's warranted at this point. Damari and Jeremiah are listed as or. I can't remember. It's been so long and it's been such a busy week and weekend for me. If that is now a complete or situation. So Damari was in the lead there. So some things of note of recently to talk about in the depth chart, especially if you're a Georgia person wanting to know a little bit about the Auburn Tigers and things like that. So keep looking right here at some of these sheets and some of these pages here. You can once again pause if you need to. What I want to call your attention to is going to be important for our purposes of preview and predicting some of these comparisons in stats for Auburn, Georgia. We'll do our best to reference that this evening. If I hadn't remembered to get the ESPN stuff out, we may not be able to get to that this evening, but just looking at that right now, Auburn's got 27 points per game. Georgia has 34. Auburn's allowing 16.4. Georgia's allowing 18.4. So keep those things in your mind. You can look at first downs. You can look at rushing, passing, all that kind of stuff. Total offense per game. Time of possession is probably going to be a big thing here if Auburn can control that in Jordan-Hare. You got the rushing leaders, the individual leaders. Some of these names, obviously for Auburn folks, those names should be obvious, but your leading rusher is Bowens, followed by Frazier. For Georgia, Gunnar Stockton, the quarterback. Receiving Young, Branch, and Humphreys. And then your defensive guys that are leading the way for Georgia, Allen, Wilson, and Bolden. Look at that. Isn't it so great to see Xavier Atkins having already been one of the top guys, on top of the defensive board, but now at the very top after the type of season that he has been having so far. So there's a little bit more information for you to reference. We'll go back. Here's some more things if you'd like those in terms of some of the stats so far this season. Just taking a quick peek to see if there's anything of note for us right now. Might want to look at fumbles lost on both sides of the scale there. You might want to look at interceptions, things like that. Third down percentage or conversion, take note of that for when we might be predicting that in the game. All things that are going to be important on our preview and prediction show for the rest of the night. Same thing here with special teams, things like that. I feel like that'll be a little bit limited given some of the questions about returns and things like that, or our ability to cover that. And then, of course, that defensive sheet, which is led by Xavier Atkins. So can I just point this out too? We're talking about Xavier. We're talking about Keyron and some other big names as well. But how great is it to see Robert Woodyard continuing to be up at the top of that list too? This is a guy that's been here for a while. And he is now reaping the benefits of that. Weather report. Hey, I know y'all are making laughing about that, but I promised you on Auburn Family Night that we would do that. Let's see if we've got the weather report on that. Where do they list it on here? I used to have that pretty good pinned down. I'm looking on the main page for the matchup weather report. Do they even list it on here anymore? I don't know why you would, because it could change at any moment, and I'm probably missing it at this point. Yeah. Anyway, weather report is not on there. Last I checked, pretty good. There's something for Stan. Sunny, high of 76. So that's dropped down a little bit because it was sitting about, when I first checked it 2 weeks ago, it was about 83 was the high. Still pretty good, right? A little warm during the day. But 57 low overnight, which means if there's a nice little cross breeze running through Jordan-Hare, woo, boy, it's going to be awesome. And he got it from the official source. So thank you, Stan. Okay. So tonight, I'm probably going to leave that there. We may even go over to some of those just because I'm in this new location. I don't like the background and view as much. But let's do this. All right. We are 10 minutes in, making some good time. Maybe I should do these shows from different locations more often so that I actually stay on point and on target from this point forward. All right. We're going to start getting you guys aware, ready to roll. I would like to know who's here. So this is a quick question. Do you think it hits below this 60 degrees? Yes or no. So just type yes or no during this game. It has nothing to do with the game that's of any importance, but just to let us know who's here, who's interacting when we're counting up the tallies. I have a feeling we're going to have a little bit lower turnout tonight because we weren't able to announce this show as early as we typically would. But please do let us know that you're here by answering that question. Yes or no, will the game, before the game ends, will we hit below 60 degrees? Let's see what you guys think. Nice hat. I'm glad you like the hat. It's not one that I normally wear on camera. This is my out and about hat. So if you see that one, certainly, there you go. While you guys are answering that question, and please do us a favor. I see a lot of you are here but haven't answered yet. I just want to make sure who we know we're interacting with on the live portion. I need to point out one thing from Unbeaten Lake. He says, when Mike Bobo became OC in 2007, we have faced him 10 times. He has scored 25 plus points, 9 of those 10 times aside 2008 when they scored 17, 30 plus points, 8 of 10. Insane. Something good to see on that. So only one person. There we go. They're maybe a little bit delayed tonight on my end or something like that. But we got some people at least interacting this evening. Okay. With that in mind, let's talk about it. Let's predict it. Let's preview it. Scores at the end. Save them there for me if you can. And we're going to roll through this stuff as briskly as we can this evening. We're going to start on offense tonight. This is Auburn versus Georgia preview and prediction time. Your first one on offense that I want a prediction from you on is how many passing yards and passing touchdowns will Auburn football's offense have versus Georgia? While you're typing that, let's get you some information to think about. We're going to scale over here. I'm going to go over there accordingly if I can manage all that properly and not close out all the windows. That would be necessities for me. Let's roll over here and check out passing yards per game. For Auburn, passing yards per game, 173.2. And then you've got allowance by Georgia of 231.2. So not the biggest variance between the two. A lot of people like to go in the middle of that somewhere. Can Auburn have a big night at home and really make it be the difference? You look at passing, Jackson are on the year. He has no in a certain category. I'm knocking wood. 5 touchdowns, 64.9 completion percentage. He can very easily get over the 1,000 mark in this particular game. 87 of 134 so far this year. So what do we got? Preview and prediction show. Auburn versus Georgia. I need your predictions for passing yards and passing touchdowns. What say you? So make sure you put that in there if you haven't done that already. We've only got a couple of people, really one right now, interacting with us. So, Stan, you might be the one person tonight that we have with us. 145 and 1. There we go. We got some more rolling in now. So only 145 yards, 1 touchdown. I don't know that it's going to get the job done, Stan, unless you're going to be predicting a lot of rushing yards in this game. 202 touchdowns to me feels a little bit more serviceable. I've been predicting about 2 touchdowns every game, and it hasn't worked out. 2 passing touchdowns. So I think I am going to lean on the side of 1 passing touchdown so far. 125 attempts. UGA has a decent passing defense. That's from Micah. We've got 202, so that's very comparable with Tim. Like Tim just went specific with the 202. But there you go. So 202, we got 202 and 2 touchdowns, all that. Yeah, I've heard varying things about it. It's funny, like how everybody has a different opinion and their particular stat guy that tells them what to think of this particular group. So you just never know. So I'm going to put my prediction in at 1 passing touchdown, and I'm going to say that we get I think we got to get over 200 yards, and I think we can do that at home. So I'll say 205, 1 passing touchdown. And once again, I feel like one of them is going to just come on a bolt play of some trickeration, Eric Singleton getting loose, something like that. I've said that for a lot of times this week, and it hasn't necessarily worked out. But to me, that's kind of how I feel it. We're not on the defense yet, Latrell, so just hang tight there. We're only on offense right now, so we'll get there eventually. All right, let's keep moving forward. How many rushing yards and rushing touchdowns for Auburn's offense versus Georgia will happen? How many rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, that's all we need right here, will Auburn's offense have versus Georgia? Put that in the chat right now. We'll compare, we'll contrast, we'll look at it a little bit and see what you guys think. For those of you that are participating interactively on the live portion of the show, here is your reference points. Auburn currently, and I know it feels like it should be more, so doesn't need to be said, is getting 169 rushing yards per game. They are Georgia is allowing 82 per game, so they're not allowing a whole lot. So obviously, depending on where you think about their opponents and stuff like that, you need to compare that with it. Obviously, it doesn't look like there's a lot of room there. Some pretty 80 yards, essentially, discrepancy between their rushing defense and our rushing offense. Let's see what you all are thinking right now. We got 95-0, so Stan is not expecting much in this game. And I don't necessarily disagree if you're not expecting much in this game. 165 and 1 touchdown. Joshua with the big number. If that happens, I think we win. 275 and 3 touchdowns. Micah with the low 45-0. I think this is one of those Micah's just being a Bama fan, but maybe he's being serious about it. Now, if we only attempt 8 rushes, pure rushes from a running back again, that might actually happen. And to with Micah's point and credit, this is what Georgia's been known for over the years. 82 yards per game is not anything to bat an eye at in terms of their defense. On the rushing attack, Auburn's got a very comparable rushing defense, and we've seen the results of that. So, this might be a situation at home they can get going a little bit more. So Latrell's got 180 and 2. We got 225 and 2. Devin has got actually Joshua had the best one of the night, but that's a pretty good one too. I'm going to say 2 rushing touchdowns. Wouldn't shock me that one of them is Jackson and one is a running back, or even Malcolm Simmons on a sweep. I do love a good old jet sweep. So I'll say 2 rushing touchdowns and I'm going to say 250 rushing. Actually, no, I'm going to back that off a little. I'm going to say 225 rushing and 2 rushing touchdowns. Actually, so I just realized me and Devin are the exact same thing. I didn't even think about that, but I feel like 250 is a little bit too strong, but I think we can certainly do that and need to do that to be successful in this game. Okay, let's keep moving. Keep plugging right along here on offense. What I want to know from you, and this is the one that's going to be a lot of fun to be had with it. What do we think? How many sacks will Auburn's offense allow to its quarterbacks? How many sacks will be given up to Auburn quarterbacks in this particular game? You had 10 versus Oklahoma. Was it 7 versus Texas A&M? So the trend is downward. It is at home. We haven't had a lot to think of. You got to think if there were some issues of hearing that were happening with some offensive linemen. That might be a little bit less here at home. Maybe not. I always laugh. The offenses try to keep things down a little bit, but there's still that fever pitch and excitement. Not as much as when they're on opposing territory, but how many sacks do you think will be given up in this particular game for Auburn's offense. We got 5, got 7, with an average of like 6. I'm going to say 6. Is that really the average right now? I haven't looked at it. It couldn't be 6, but it's probably closer to 5, which I would agree with you there. WT with the savage 29, 3, 2, 4 sacks of Jackson Arnold specifically. And I think that's who's going to be sacked, right? I mean, that I don't see outside of extenuating circumstances it being anybody else. But remember, sacks are also partially on at times the quarterback as they are the offense. And honestly, people forget this too. They're running backs and the tight ends. They can do some bad blocking as well. And it looks bad on the offensive line. So as much as I am a critic, talk Kyle, of our offensive line play, it goes all around in this one. So I'm going to say 5 sacks. I'm going to say it goes down. I just got to anticipate it's got to be something tonight. All right, here we go. Keep moving in the Auburn offense. How many turnovers will Auburn's offense have in this game? We're looking for actual recovered fumbles for the defense, meaning Georgia's defense. So how many fumbles that are recovered that Auburn will give up, and how many interceptions? You can just give me a number altogether. You can break it out however you want. I don't need forced fumbles. I just need recovered fumbles, and that number with the interceptions. So keep in mind, one of those numbers, knocking on wood, has not happened yet. It is seems like it's due. Fumbles, there have been times where the ball has been dropped quite a bit, and some of them have not been lost. So this is something to keep in mind. Do you go with it's bound to happen at some point? That theory, that line of thinking? Maybe. I don't know. What anybody else have an opinion about that? We got from Tim here. No fumbles, 1 interception, 1 turnover from Joshua, 1 and 1. So 1 of each. Stan, it seems like you're saying there. It does. I think we have reached a point where it feels like 1 interception is due, right? I mean, he's thrown a couple that probably should have been intercepted. Thankfully, they weren't. So that's to his credit as well right now. I think it's fair to assume that a fumble is going to happen. So much energy, so much passion in this game. It's somebody's going to get a little careless, a little arrogant, a little full of themselves as they break loose a run, is running out there with the ball wide. I'm going to predict 1 fumble. And I like Stan's pick of 1 and 1. I think somebody else may have predicted that one already. 1 of 1, I think, is fair in this game because it feels like we're due on one particular side of the equation. This is Micah says, again, because Bama has seen them already, UJ likes to punch at the ball, so 3 fumbles and 1 interception. Their worst fumble game was at home, Micah, so it certainly could happen again here against a more serious opponent. Stan, thanks for hanging out, and I appreciate you being here and hanging out with us. There is his score prediction. Everybody else, hold yours, please. That's not the cue, but Stan has to go. Thank you for participating with us, Stan. We appreciate your inputs. And there is his official score prediction. Everybody else, hold till the end. Unless you have to go. All right, let's keep moving right along. Who is going to be Auburn's top rusher in this game? I think at the beginning, that's what I want to know from you. Give me the name for Auburn's offense. Who is going to be the top rusher? I think going into the season, everybody thought for sure going to be a running back most of the time. And then we saw what Jackson Arnold was capable of. We heard what he was capable of last year, but you just don't know. And so he became a factor in this as well. Then you also got to factor in, how do you quantify that? Do you do it by yardage? Do you do it by touchdowns? Do you do it by yards per rush? What does that mean to you as a subjective thing? Most people do it by rushing yards. So who's going to be the top rusher that you predict for Auburn in this game? Obviously, you're looking at Jeremiah Cobb. You're looking at Damari Alston. You're looking at Jackson Arnold as your top 3 candidates there. What say you all? We've got 1 for Jeremiah Cobb from Joshua. I think Jeremiah Cobb is the safe bet. He is the current leading rusher on this game. If you look at that chart down there, I'm going to go back and reference it myself. Jeremiah Cobb is currently sitting at 58 attempts, 409, 6.9 per carry, 4 rushing yards. Jackson Arnold, 70 for 192, 2.7 per rush attempt because of those sacks. Not good. Not good. Anybody else with a prediction tonight on who is going to be the leading rusher for Auburn? I got to figure out how I'm going to get my back set up right here. Get a pillow or something. If this is where we're going to be doing a lot of our shows for the time being. Anybody else? Last call prediction on rusher. That may be all we have this evening. We're going to move on if they have not come through. There we go. Tim's one. He's got specific with yardage. 85, 65, and 45, how he split it down there. I would love to predict Damari Alston to have another bounce back into form game after his injury. But Jeremiah is the hot hand right now. And as long as he's healthy, I think you've got to give that to him. Look at everybody dropping it down there. We were just looking for a name, but y'all are getting real specific with it. So we'll take it. We will take it. So Auburn, top rusher, I will predict it will be Jeremiah Cobb. I think that is the easy, safe pick. Hope we're good out there. That was a lot of noise. Simmons is the another one that is being thrown out there. I hope he's not the leading rusher by rushing attempts, which could have been close the last game, but hopefully by yardage, if he runs a nice jet sweep, that would be a lot of fun to see. I'd be all down for it. He's got a rushing touchdown this year. All right, keep moving right along. Who's going to be Auburn's top receiver in this game? Who do you all predict is the top receiver for Auburn football versus Georgia? Let me give you some information once again to think about your top receivers so far. Eric Singleton Jr., 27 total receptions, far outpacing everybody else. 265 yards, 9.8 per catch, 2 touchdowns. Cam Coleman, well behind in receptions because he's getting locked down because people are scared of the man. 255 yardage, very close to Eric Singleton. So Coleman is doing more with less, but Eric Singleton has been asked to do a lot of unique things. Think about that. Horatio Fields is still out, so he is not an option for you, but he's the top 3 receiver. Does Malcolm move up into that top 3 slot with a big game here and maybe the top receiver this game? Anybody else that you'd like to make a prediction of, you can do that as well. This is from Joshua. He says, Cam, UGA is going to be all over Singleton. That's a great point, Josh, to think about the fact that they have familiarity with most of these guys. In fact, the top 3 rushers, like their type receivers, they'll all have they played Malcolm last year. They played Cam. They played Eric Singleton as well, and they got torched by Eric Singleton. So you know that they are scheming that up to take away him. So is this a big game for Cam Coleman? So as I'm talking about it now, I like the not just because fans have been calling for an investment, more of an investment into Cam Coleman. I'm going to say it's Cam as well because of that great point of Eric Singleton being focused on. Tim giving us a little bit more specifics there as well. He throws Cobb in there as a leading receiver, and that's not terribly a bad option there. Get the athletes who can help you the most, just get them the ball in their hands. That's why you use Malcolm in the rushing attempt. Give Cobb that out on a screen pass. So once again, we got a little bit thorough there. I'll take it, but thank you for your prediction, Singleton. So we got a Singleton twice. So far, nobody else has answered, so we'll move on. Tonight, in your last prediction for Auburn versus Georgia offense, and we'll get to defense. This is your last prediction for offense. What is going to be the third down percentage for Auburn in this game? I'm going to try to switch over to this. I think it's on this page right here for you all. Third down conversions for Auburn took a big whopping hit last game when we went 0 for 12. It used to be very close to 50. Currently, third down conversions for Auburn are 21 of 62. That hurts. That hurts real bad. So does that improve? I think it has to improve dramatically in this game. Not dramatically. It's somewhat in this game because it has dropped down so low. So what do you think your third down percentage is going to be for Auburn's offense in this game? Not a lot of faith. Right here from Unbeaten Lake with 25%. I understand the lack of faith, and I think that's where a lot of people are right now. 35%, a little bit more improved from Tim. 9 for 13 on third down. That is quite the improvement, and that is something we can certainly do a lot with if you are getting 9 of your 13 third down conversions, because that could very likely be that you were converting the third downs throughout the game and towards the end where you're just playing run the ball out. If you had the lead, that could certainly happen. Hunter is late to the party. What's going on, sir? Micah says depends on if Auburn can do what Bama did and gash them, but I'll say 50%. Wow, we're taking shots at WT there, huh? But thanks for being here, guys. All right, so there we are with our offensive predictions. We'll park it there. Let's move on to defense now at this point. Once again, we're going to get to score predictions here shortly, so please save those until the end. Your first prediction for Auburn's defense in this game that I want to hear from you all in the chat, very similar to the offensive situation. But now I want to know how many passing yards and passing touchdowns will UGA, not Auburn, will UGA's offense have in this game? Playing on the road, it's a nightmare to play in. Gunnar Stockton, this would be his first official time starting here. What do you information about this particular matchup here. How many passing yards plus passing touchdowns will Georgia's offense have here? Let's look at what they're doing. Passing yards per game, 231.8. Auburn is allowing 227.6. It's about as close as you can get in a matchup. So I think it's fair to say if you're going to be, I'm not an advocate for betting in any way, but if you're going to be betting, you want to try to match as close as you can to those allowed and earned yards per game passing for Georgia and then Auburn allowing. So what do you all think? Let's see what you got. 195 and 1 touchdown. We got 240 and 1 touchdown, 335 yards and 4 touchdowns. I just know Mike Bobo against us. For those of you that are just joining us, Unbeaten Lake pointed out some facts about how successful Mike Bobo has been against Auburn. Now, that's despite, we played him a couple times recently. He was here previously under Harsin, which didn't go well. He also had a ginormous threat in Brock Bowers here. That's something to consider too in this potentially. We've got Tim with 210 and 1 touchdown for UGA. I think it's fair to assume it's going to be 200 yards passing. So I'm going to say 220 yards passing for Georgia. I'm going to hope that the Auburn defensive backs can lock it down beyond that. I think it would not shock me to see 2 passing touchdowns, one of them being like a big gasher type of play on a missed assignment. I feel like that happens sometimes here at Auburn. And then one is just kind of one of those dink and dunk. They throw it even maybe to a running back. So 2 passing touchdowns, 220 yards is what my prediction for passing for Georgia will be. Next up on our list of things that they don't have Bowers, and we did shut him down until the 4th quarter. And then it was like Brock Bowers said, enough is enough. Next up on defense, how many rushing yards and rushing touchdowns will Georgia have in this game? Auburn versus Georgia in Jordan-Hare. I need your rushing yards and rushing touchdowns for the Georgia Bulldogs. What say you? Let's look at the chart over here on your left-hand side of the screen. We've got rushing yards per game for Georgia, 206. Allowed for Auburn is 88. So slightly similar when we were comparing that with Auburn's offense, the allowed for Georgia and what they gain. Georgia's been a little bit more proficient in that. I think Auburn's defense has shown enough that they're going to be able to contain a rush attack, maybe not stop them completely, but contain it. So I think this is where Auburn has to, once again, lock in on defense and be able to make headway. Let's see what you all think. 201, 175 and 1 touchdown, 127, 2 touchdowns, 202, 101, 125 and 2 touchdowns. I think Georgia is going to try to do what most teams should do on the road, is establish a run game to control the clock, control the flow of the game, all of that. And if they can do that, that is the only way that they can knock off that Jordan-Hare magic that supposedly is there for these types of games. 175-2. So there you go. There's your particular predictions for you guys. I'm going to say, I think they're going to give up more, obviously, than we typically do, but I don't know that we're going to give up enough to break ourselves into the average being 100 per game, which I think would have to be a significant amount. I'll say they rush for 175 and 2 rushing touchdowns in this game. 175 and 2 rushing touchdowns in this game. Was that similar? Oh, Jacob, there you go. I need to start checking that better after I throw my prediction, because I truly read y'all's and don't think about it again. But that was my prediction there off the cuff. Okay. Let's keep going here. Can you call Hugh and tell him that's the standard for away games in the SEC? I'll do my best. You know, those awesome connections that I've got. We'll do our best to pull that off for you. Who's going to be Auburn's top tackler on defense? That's what I need to know from you now. Who's going to be Auburn's top tackler on defense? What do we say? Xavier Atkins, can I just take it away from all you? No, listen, there are other guys on there that have topped the list, but who do you think? Think about it in relation to what Georgia does or supposedly is going to do that might help you pick that out a little bit more. What do you think? Who's going to be the top tackler for Auburn in this particular game? Great minds do think alike. It's what happens. It's, you know, just whose mind is greater? I don't know. If you look at the charts over there, you'll see the top tacklers. Xavier, Keyron's been up there. Robert Woodyard is up there as well. So there are a couple of great options. We have just seen such an outstanding set of games from Xavier Atkins. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit because I feel like it's getting a little bit too bright in here. That's what you probably should expect. This feels like how it should be in a run. Who's the top rusher situation? That it's becoming pretty apparent who's going to be the main one for that one. So I'm going to say Malik Blockton. That's not who I'm saying. I'm just seeing that pop up for the first time. Crawford with 12 tackles. That's quite a bit for a defensive lineman. Let's see. Anybody else? I don't think we missed anybody there. I'm going to go Xavier Atkins. I just think that is the choice to go with. Here's your next prediction. Give it to me this way and try to give it to me in this order. This is like a bunch together. How many sacks, fumbles, interceptions will Auburn's defense have in this game? How many sacks will they get? How many recovered fumbles? And how many interceptions will Auburn's defense have in this game? What do we think? Couple of late ones for Atkins on that prediction. What do we think? Finally got our interception right from Xavier Atkins. So if Xavier's doing everything, we're going to be pretty good, right? But I think that environment is going to be so outstanding for Georgia. I think it's going to be so hyped up, so crazy, that for sure we're going to get a few sacks. Just how many is the question. 2 sacks, 0 fumbles, 0 interceptions. 3, 0, and 1. 6 sacks. Hear me out. 0 picks, 1 fumble recovery. Okay. Potentially. So I got to find a way to sit back on this thing. It's like hurting my back a little bit. 1 sack. Sacks. Oh, that's a good. Yeah. I knew someone was going to go there tonight, WT. 6 sacks, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble. Like I said, I got to figure out a way to sit in this thing just a little bit better. All right. I'm going to say 4 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, no interceptions. Did I get anybody similar? Nope, I don't see that. 4 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, No interceptions. That's what I'm going to go with on this one. Last one in defense, and we're probably going to abbreviate special teams just because we had to start so late and all that kind of stuff. But yes or no, will there be a defensive touchdown for Auburn in this game? What say you? Hasn't happened yet. Should have. Things happened. Also, Xavier Atkins got caught right before he made it to that touchdown. And can we be honest? I for sure thought we were going to, not score that touchdown when he got us down to like the 2-yard line. I just thought that was going to be such an Auburn thing to happen, and it did. So, what do we think? How many, or how will we have a defensive touchdown? Second coming of Nick Fairley. That'd be funny. No. Kieran also had a pick this season. Thank you for reminding me of that. It's been a long week. No. Yes. Fumble recovery to the crib. I love it. So Hunter says yes. Everybody else says no. I'm going to also lean no as well, just because it feels like it's not in our most likely of scenarios right now. All right, let's do this on special teams. And it's just going to be for the sake of time tonight. I want to know from you all how many field goals attempted and made are going to happen for Auburn in this game. Maybe we'll do one other thing. I think we can just do one other. How many field goals and how many attempted and made will Auburn football have versus Georgia in this game? Keep in mind, Alex McPherson is still getting his strength back from what he's been doing. Gibbs, I forget if it was Chad or not. Also Towns have had some struggles from the distance portion of this. Can we get inside a certain range that's comfortable for McPherson, who's pretty automatic for the most part? Missed a couple during his recovery process, but in his first year was 100%. What do we think? 2 of 3. 2 of 3. We got 1 of 1. Think you got to predict one's going to happen. That offense will stall out at some point. It's just a matter of when. 2 of 3. Oh, excuse me. Oh. 2 of 2. Here, I'm going to make a prediction while we see if anybody else brings it in. I think we're going to get a field goal of about 47 in this game, and I'm going to say it's going to be Alex McPherson. I'm just going to throw that out as my hot take for the game. So I think one definitely. I think we'll miss another just because we'll have to stall out, and that's all he can get out of his strength, muster out of it, at least with his accuracy. Maybe it's a longer one, and one of those guys unfortunately miss it, but that's what I'm going to say. I can't guess on the field goal since it's kind of required that you convert a third down sometimes to get close. Yes, I understand, WT. I got it. I'm going to say 1 of 2. Was anybody similar to that? I think it was 2 of 3, 2 of 2, 1 of 1 that we had in the chat. Okay. We're going to, just for the sake of time, skip ahead and just do one other thing because it's in the, not necessarily special teams, the miscellaneous category, but I think given what Auburn's been struggling with, protecting its quarterback, and penalties, how many penalties and how many penalty yards will Auburn have in this game? So really think about this. Think about the environment. What are they prone to do in terms of lately? The types of penalties they've been getting, yardage that comes with that. I'm going to go and look on this page and see if we've got anything that would give us a reference to that. Let me look real quick. Thought we had it somewhere on this page. Penalties. Let me look at this next one while you guys are thinking. Penalty yardage. It's probably on here and I'm just missing it. That's my fault. There we go. It looks like Auburn is averaging 8 penalties per game and their opponent is 13 per game. You know what's crazy? As many penalties as Auburn's been having in these football games, they've also had guys that teams that they're playing have been doing pretty poorly. Yeah, so Jacob, that's a great point to go back to that while you guys are thinking about the penalties and yardage. Freeze said Alex was good from 50 as of today. That's good. Now, listen, that actually has been said previously, And just because you are good from 50 doesn't mean that they will give you the okay to do it. That's kind of like the first step of it. And I think you probably meant that in what you're saying. I just want to clarify for if you don't see him trot out there. I just got to think with the 2 weeks off preparing, more healing, more strength being regained, that's got to play a factor in that as well. All right, we got a couple 6 penalties for 90. Can that work out mathematically? Unless the 15, yeah, I guess it can. That'd be a little less than, but anyway, 6 for 45. So we got agreement so far on the number of penalties, discrepancies on the yardage. I feel like things are going to be heightened. Nick Fairley may be summoned, like you said, the second coming, and cheap shots may happen on both sides, but we're focusing on Auburn here. I'm going to say at least 2 false starts, probably a legal formation, a couple of pass interferences, and like 1 personal foul of some ridiculousness. So that feels like a 6. I'm going to say 7 penalties, 60 yards. 7 penalties, 60 yards, if that works it out. Yeah. And that's WT, yes. I guess maybe that's the easier way of should I said. Alex's range is determined pregame, not necessarily what's going on that. Well, I appreciate the super chat, Hunter, but I'm not sure why it's not happening. I'll look into that, but not always not necessary. But thank you for supporting us by being a member. But I guess if you'd like to keep trying, but we could look into. I'll try to look into what's going on there. I hope we're not having 16 false starts. That's the end of the game if that happens. Okay, we're going to cut it a little bit short because of the sake of starting late. Other things. But what I want to know from you now, we have gone through offense. We have gone through defense. We have gone through special teams somewhat. We've talked about the stuff around the game, the 130th matchup, Auburn versus Georgia, night game finally again in Jordan-Hare, Deep South's oldest rivalry. Give me your score prediction. Score for Auburn, score for Georgia. Clarify, please, who your winner is by saying who that with the score. So many of you will post the score, but then not post who the winner is. What is your score prediction? It doesn't have to match up with what you predicted here. The reason we go through this exercise is just to ask you to think. This idea that I've been building in my head, the weather, they didn't have it on the sheet this week, so no weather report. But it looks, Stan gave us a very beautiful picture of the weather of a high of 78, I think is what he said, low of 57. But think about some of those things that we were talking about in your score for your score prediction. The rushing, the touchdowns of passing nature, the penalties, the third down. What is your score prediction? Please post that now in the chat. We got to lock it in and see what you guys think. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, Hunter. I'm sorry about that, but I appreciate your willingness to keep trying. All right, Micah's got our first one coming in, 30-17 UGA. Hunter says new score prediction, 27 UGA, Auburn 24. Just to be consistent on my predictions. There you go. Anybody else with your score prediction, Auburn versus Georgia? Don't be shy. Put it in the chat right now, good or bad. We got to see it from you. As you think about some of those things, some more rolling in, 20-17. So far, what you're seeing here outside of Micah, as a Bama fan, is a pretty close game. I think all parties are expecting this to be a very close game once again. I think Auburn has shown you that they're good enough to be in the game to have a shot to win it most of the time this year. And even when they're doing everything possible to not be in the game, they're still in the game. So I think if you're predicting beyond this particular game, like if you're predicting, well, there's WT with the UGA 38-13. I don't know that I can get on board with that line of thinking. I do think it will be either within a touchdown or close, or like barely above a touchdown. I'm losing faith that Auburn can score more than 20 points a game, but I'm going to believe at home that we can do that. So that's kind of my baseline is 20 points for Auburn. I like 23, And then I'll go 31-23. Georgia wins within the confines, because that would be those 4 touchdowns that I accounted for in my prediction and a field goal for them. I'll go 31-28. So 31-23. Georgia wins by 8 points, and Auburn is in it and with a shot to win it, but just can't get the job done even at home. 24-17. And I think, as we talked about the other night, yes, it sucks to win no matter what, but the most important thing for this game is to show that Auburn is a much better team on the product that they're putting on the field. I wouldn't say it's more important than the win. It's just, you got to show that was a fluke. Jacob says, if we get routed on Cam Newton night, bad things are going to happen. Yeah, it feels like that would be potentially appropriate there. I not appropriate, but that would be what's happening there. All right, some final questions, comments, topics. Drop those in now. While you guys are doing that, let me give you a little bit more information. Once again, you're going to hear this a lot from me, but I just know that new people are stopping in and are like, what's going on? You're a different location. A lot going on behind the scenes for us personally. All of it good. We're doing fine. Continued prayers are very much appreciated for those of you that believe in the power of prayer. For that to continue to be great things for us. Talk more about that later, but different locations, schedules and content will be tentative, very tentative from this point forward, on when we can get some of those things out to you. But what we're going to be trying to do this weekend, I am planning to be there, is we will have a live stream of Tiger Walk, Auburn versus Georgia. Join us on YouTube for that. We'd love to see you there. We'll be posting replays other places, probably days after that. Another thing that I don't have a card for, but I want to remind you of, our goal is to film that brand new band show. If you want to watch that, we're going to have that up probably ready to go at latest Sunday lunchtime-ish is the goal right now. Keep that in mind. Plan is to do a post-game show from the mobile broadcast studio, aka my car. Hopefully I'm still standing at the end of that after exhaustion from the day and just life right now, but that'll be happening. And then Sunday, the Auburn Experience, episode 145, will make that up this week. So join us for that if you can. We're excited about that, excited about all those things that we get to do. And hopefully our schedule will continue to get a little bit normalized. So just to pull the curtain back. So hopefully for the next couple of weeks, still in different locations somewhat, but it'll be a little bit less crazy. But then there'll be a nice period of time there where it'll get crazy again for a short amount of time. So we'll see what happens there. We got some late people offering their predictions, 24-13. So we want to get those in right there. Let's see what else you guys are saying to wrap up the show this evening. I think UGA knows they got a chance to lose it all and not go to the playoffs. It's do or die, and they'll lay it on when they where they have to now. I don't know that they are in jeopardy of going to the playoffs if they lose this game, but it certainly makes it more challenging and less pitfall or more easy to be knocked out. So maybe just disagree about the nature of with which you're looking at that, but I kind of understand the concept. So it is nice to be optimistic about an Auburn win, but until the offense shows that they have fixed themselves, I can't in good conscience pick Auburn. And I think that's fine. You hear the way I think about what do I think I can trust Auburn to score. And I'm really pushing myself to that 23 till I see different. Even at home, it's going to be a little bit tough. Let's see here. It's been 15 years. We need to know what Tracy Wolfson drank. You talk about the Cam juice. That was such a weird thing in all of the Cam Newton stuff that year. Thank you for the prayers. We are good over here and able to do some ETC stuff too, so it all coincides together. Jacob says UGA has a bunch of O-line injuries. And that's one thing we didn't do tonight just because things are crazy is look at this injury report. Happened against Oklahoma. I guess maybe it mattered, but we'll see if it matters here. Have yet to have some of their starters for back-to-back games all year. Our DL will put pressure on them. We keep the score low with a chance to win. That's all you can ask for, really, is a chance to win and just see how the oblong ball bounces. Are there any undefeated teams left in the conference? Missouri? Did they get beat finally? They already got beat, didn't they? Anyway, I'm not sure. Trouble thinking about off the top of your head. When you play in the SEC, you're prone to get a loss. Excuse me. All right. Thank you guys for being here. hanging out with us and being part of our little family within the Auburn family, as always. And lately, I've been thanking you all for your patience, your understanding of tentative nature of content, sometimes missed stuff. We'll continue to roll that out as much as we can. You stay tuned on social media, planning to be in Auburn for what is going to be an epic day on the plains. And we're excited to bring coverage for you of those events. Thank you for being here. And I want to remind you that the Auburn Creed asks you to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. And we ask you to do the same. Until then, War Eagle.